gonna lose? What's it gonna prove? Who will be bruised? What you need when you lie, it's a lesson that's got me reading now. What you want, who is seeing when you lie, it's the message that's got me reading now. What you want, what you need when you lie, it's a lesson that's got me reading now. What you want, who is seeing when you lie, it's the message that's got me reading. When you lie, it's a lesson that's got me reading now. What you want, who is seeing when you.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. I am your lore master of the day, James, otherwise known as the Lore Master. Good to see everybody. Hey, if you haven't yet, check me out at twitter.com/lore reloaded or twitch.tv/lore reloaded. I swear to God, I'm going to use that one day. Give me a second while I listen to the audio. Your lore master of the day, James. Oh, wow. Listen to that. That is off as the Lore Master. Good to see everybody. Hey, if you haven't yet, check me out at twitter.com. Give me a second. Let me mess with that. I don't know why that's messing up. It sounds a little weird on audio. Yeah, audio is funny. That's what I thought too. Give me a second, good buddy. Give me a good second. I'm going to make this better for you, Leith. Micah, as they were. Micah in the French. What's up, baby? You okay? Gotcha. Alright, hold on. Just checking a couple other things. Let me know how it is now. Time for cookies, as they say. Output, nope. Stream, nope. Audio, there we go. Where's the audio? Nope. Yep. It's better? I don't hear me at all. Audio. Nope. Okay. Well, if you guys say it's better, I am going to take you at your word. For some reason, it's not showing up for me at all, though. So I don't know if that's on my side or what's going on. Is that right here? Yep. Okay. Well, whatever. Everything works out. Good deal. Sorry about that. So, with that out of the way, Michael Leith, what is going on? Death Scream, The Iron Wolves, Christopher Gibbs, Whispered Darkling, Michael Leith, Eric Windelant, saying, yay, Whispered Darkling, as I already said, Jay Wiggs up in the house, Thomas Potts, Epics 00, and Resolute Germ. Never a party until we have Resolute Germs here. And Whisper Darkling, who apparently I'm going to be marrying very shortly. I'm marrying a lot of people now, from what I'm telling. A lot of that going around, apparently. So, yeah. So let's get into it. You guys are probably going to... what's going on, Common Sense America? You guys are probably going to be able to completely and utterly break this theory to hell and back, especially if you've seen all of Babylon 5. Because I have not, so I'm fully willing to admit that maybe I'm missing something here. I still think that you can talk about something even if you haven't watched all of it. again, for instance, I don't have a degree in political science, but I feel like I can talk about government. I don't have a degree in flying an airplane, but I can tell you smashing it into a mountain is a bad thing. So I still think we can have these conversations. Epics 00, how far are you into B5 now exactly? Again, thank you so much for the donation. It definitely helps out. I am almost finished with season 1. So let me... Lore's a Mormon now. Polygamy? When did I become a polygamist, Micah Leith? Sorry, I'm getting off turn, but when exactly did I become a polygamist? Or are you talking about when I'm talking to the Poly fam? Which are which are great people. They've always supported the channel. But I don't remember ever saying I was polyamorous either. Maybe I am. Oh, polygamy because I'm marrying so many different people. I got you. God, it takes me forever. I'm sorry. So, what the hell was I talking about? Okay, so let's talk about how, Babylon 5, maybe the Earth-Minbari War was an inside job. Slimy, you ask a good question. You say you haven't seen all of Babylon 5, yet you mentioned the Season 4 finale, so what haven't you seen? When I do research, I watch, different episodes relevant to what I'm researching. And so I have actually seen the season finale, and I've seen the series finale, and I've watched a couple of different episodes and done a lot of research behind the episodes and such as that. So I know a good bit about Babylon 5 and its story, but that doesn't mean I've seen all of it. So here's an interesting question that keeps popping up, and I haven't seen anything to counter it, and I want you guys to consider this. So, we know that the Earth Alliance, through various people, or through a couple of various actors in the background, became very interested in interacting with the Minbari. To the point of... that Jason Powell becoming a lore master... to the point that they sent in someone who wasn't ready and wasn't prepared to have a interaction. The really jumpy captain. The Minbari, to my understanding, to talk about this, we have to mention spoilers. Yeah, so there's going to be spoilers in this for Babylon 5. So yeah, let's get that out of the way. And I'm about to turn that off. So... what was I saying? The Minbari were in that area because they were looking for the shadows. They were doing some research. They were thinking they were about to get the shadows themselves, right? And so, while doing so, they... Earth and the Earth Alliance and the Minbari met up. And, of course, it went downwards from there. Give me a quick second. I don't know what the hell is going on with this, but let's nip that in the bud real quick. God, this is the worst one ever. The worst one I've ever done. Like, ever. Hold on. My overlays. Like, seriously? Yeah, spoilers still do count. Oops, that's the wrong one. Okay. Is it finished? Fantastic. So, sorry about that, guys. So, you have these two different cultures, vastly different cultures, interacting with each other. I almost am willing to bet it was a setup by the Shadows. I want you to hear me out. I think it's called the Shadows. Again, the background, I may use some of the terminology wrong. Forgive me if it was. But the Earth Alliance had already pissed them off because they had defeated their first wave. The first ones, the first species they were going to use to cause the discord and to bring about what they needed. So the humans had joined the non-aligned League, and it helped destroy the League of Non-Aligned Worlds, and it helped destroy the powerhouse that they were going to use. The Minbari had been involved in the first Shadow War, and thus were already on the pissed off list of the Shadows, right? The Shadows also know both humans and the Minbari pretty well. They know exactly how the warrior caste is going to react, and humans have seen, at least from everything I've looked at, they have seen to be able to be highly manipulated by the Shadows. The Shadows seem really capable in manipulating the Earth Alliance. And so I wonder if the Shadows didn't manipulate the Earth Alliance to send their jumpiest, their worst captain you could send on the face of the planet, then they lured out the Minbari fleet, or at least some Minbari ships, and just let nature take its course. You know, again, I haven't found anything that is definitive about that, but it really seems kind of interesting the way everything just fit in for the Earth-Minbari war to happen. And that is 2 birds, 1 stone right there. Even though the Minbari were absolutely and utterly devastating Earth Alliance was making them work for it. Earth Alliance was drowning Minbari forces in their own blood. Every inch cost the Minbari their own people. So you would have the Earth Alliance completely destroyed. You'd have Earth completely destroyed, humanity gone, and a weakened Minbari. Not only that, the Minbari were so ruthless that I really don't think it paints them in a good light. I think that you would probably see a lot of issues between Minbari and the Centauri, Minbari and the Narn. I think you would have had a huge amount of issues from a galactic standpoint after the Minbari basically just wiped them off the face of the planet. It does, like Terry Weaver says, almost like it was planned. I wonder if, again, it was set like this. It was set in place as somewhat of a retribution for the destruction and the death of the Dilgar. Again, I could be completely off. There could be one random line in the middle there somewhere that I don't know what's going on that completely brings that to a halt. Absolutely. And if I haven't seen it, or, you know, this gets taken out, I completely understand. But again, I'm curious what you guys think about it. And then a lot of people are apparently having an issue with the fact that the comm badges in the Star Trek universe quite obviously are used for an authoritarian regime. So we can talk about that towards the end too if you guys want to. But again, I just kind of want to talk about B5. You guys want me to talk more about Babylon 5. You guys want me to engage in these discussions and do non-track. So here we are, people. Here we are. Also, if you guys are liking this, 50 people watching, only 16 thumbs up, 1 thumbs down. Let's get that up to 50. Let's do it. If the only alliance would have listened to Burnham. Indeed. Sorry, but the Shadows was still sleeping at that point in time. The Shadows could have been sleeping, but their agents weren't. There were still people working in the background. You know, so it's not like there wasn't something going on at that point. So I'd be curious. My cell phone is a tool of the authoritarian regime. It can be, if you've looked at what the CIA can do with it. They prefer to be called Google. The authoritarian regime prefers to be called Google. But what do you guys think? Just so you know, Earth destroys 1 battleship in the entire Earth-Minbari war. I remember... see, so here's my thing, Jason, and I could be wrong on this. Again, I'm happy to be completely off. But my understanding is, especially when watching the movies, as well as the episodes. Johnny Doe, what's going on? I missed you too. When watching those episodes, they did destroy the Black Star, right? And so, I think it's called the Black Star. They did destroy the one vessel, but they were still causing some damage to the Minbari. Maybe they weren't doing massive damage to the fleets, but they were still, from what I can tell, weakening them. Either that or the scenes that I've seen, especially with, what was the... Oh, man. He's a huge character, so you guys are going to get pissed off. The Centauri, he's the one that warned them against even talking to the Minbari. Especially if he's... he could be exaggerating, but from what he said, as well as the episodes that I've seen, I think that the Earth Alliance was making the Minbari pay. Again, and I get this term from a book I read in the Halo series, but it seemed like, I think this is apt, it seemed like the Earth Alliance was making the Minbari drown in their own blood. Drown in human blood, which means that they were throwing everything they got, and even though they weren't doing, they weren't winning, they were still doing damage. And so, you know, I'm kind of, I'd be interested. The Terror of Death says, yes, the big bad alien villain of the first 4 seasons of B5 are known as the Shadow. Also, in my opinion, the Earth-Minbari War is technically a 3-way compounding of errors. A 3-way compounding of errors. I'd be interested. Oh, you mean with the thing? Yeah, I mean the first entire Minbari, that interaction was bad on both sides. I mean, just absolutely bad. Everybody all around. And what's interesting is what I like, and unfortunately, it feels like we don't see this character a lot. But Dukat seems like a very interesting and wise character. And I hate that it feels like they just killed him off so quickly. I do enjoy the character growth with Delin. I think that was where she goes from being the cause of the entire war, causing all of this devastation, to realizing that she was in the wrong. So, you know, again, I do think that it's plausible that this entire thing was a setup, because a lot of things were set up. Again, I haven't seen all of the seasons, so this is me with the background research that I've done from websites, from wikis, and from watching most of the first season, and also watching episodes here and there so that I can do my video breakdowns. But everything seems to come together just so nicely, and the Shadows are always, their agents are always working in the background. And so that's, it seems like all of this is just put together. Also, the character you're thinking of is Londos as the Terror of Death. Thank you so much again for the donation. Yeah, Londo. I'll tell you, my favorite character right now is Garibaldi. I think it's Garibaldi. God, I'm horrible with names. Plus, I'm a little tired, guys. I'm sorry. I still wanted to talk to you guys, though. Not you. Yeah, Garibaldi. I love Garibaldi. He's such an awesome character. I was told Garibaldi is they get rid of Garibaldi, which if true makes me sad. Dukat isn't dead, he's trapped in the fire cave. See, now you just spoiled the entire thing for me. So Dukat gets trapped in the fire caves in Babylon 5. Logic. Josh Street, kill the humans before Babylon 4 was built, then the first Shadow War, then the Minbari fight in the shadows would have won. Sure. No, I understand what would have happened. I get that. Weren't the Minbari fully on board for complete genocide of the human race to avenge Dukat, and by the Battle of the Line, they were looking for any excuse to stop the genocide? You could be right, Super Saiyan Man, but from my understanding, that's not how it worked. Maybe Delin was. Again, I haven't watched all of the episodes put together, so maybe it's there. But my understanding is they are intent on human genocide for sure. But the way they work is they were just making a beeline for Earth, bypassing all infrastructure, destroying anything Earth Alliance, and then just going straight for Earth Alliance or Earth Force. And then they were just going to double back, right? So that once that was done, they were going to come back and destroy what was left. And during the Battle of the Line, Delin pulls one of the humans on and and realizes why she shouldn't be doing that. Now, that said, I could be wrong. So maybe she didn't want to genocide him, and that's why she did it. But that's not what I got from it. And again, I'm perfectly happy to say, hey, this is just conjecture. I don't think the Shadows care enough about those they use to seek vengeance over the destruction. Epic 00. But here's my thing. There is a vengeance element to it, but it's more than that. Here's what I'm saying. Even if they weren't being vengeful, I think you could tell, especially with what the Earth Alliance did, especially with... So, if you look at the Earth Alliance destroyed the Dilgar. They helped the League of Non-Aligned Worlds. The Minbari played a vital role in the first Shadow War. These are obviously two threats. So, even if it's not vengeance, they can have these two threats destroy each other. Or at the very minimum, one threat completely destroy another threat, and then you only have one threat you got to worry about, right? So, I'm not... I don't know... why I don't see that as being out of the realm, even if they're not doing it for vengeance, right? Yeah, Micah, I'm not sure why you hid Spiritual Cry, but I think this is an interesting thing Spiritual Cry said. The entire war seems manufactured. If the Earth Alliance had any once of sense, they would have put an incompetent officer on the front lines of the exploration. Reeks of foul play. I agree. Well, and the other thing is, here's my other point to that. The Earth Alliance decides to send military vessels to meet the Minbari. Now, I get that the Earth Alliance thinks they're top dog, that they had just defeated the Dilgar, and that they're, one of the best. And so, still, I think you'd at least have someone say, that isn't Londo, say, hey, why aren't we just sending a diplomatic ship? Ken Jet, you're confusing Dukat and Star Trek Deep Space Nine with B5. No, Ken Jet, we're not. We're making a joke. I get that Dukat isn't, and Babylon 5 isn't actually in the fire caves. I get that. Let's see. The religious caste noticed that their people started to show a spiritual devolution and that humans were spiritually evolving, says Orataquatinga. Okay, I mean, again, maybe I'm wrong on that, but, again, it's intriguing to me, and it seems very realistic that you would have Delin just so pissed off. I would still be interested. So let me ask you this, and maybe it doesn't give the breakdown. The Grey Council was split, and Delin was the final vote, right? You had half wanting to go to war, half not. Did they ever break down what the votes were? Obviously, you'd have all the warrior caste wanting to go to war. So I get that. But where would you have the spiritual and the worker caste? Spiritual Cry, yeah, you shouldn't be banned, man. If he had, banned you or something, I would have undone it. It looks like it was an accident by Micah. He generally doesn't do stuff like that, so I'm going to take him at his word. Was there a breakdown with who voted what? Because I'd be very curious where the worker caste voted on that. They really don't seem pro-war as far as I can tell. I'd be very curious. Slimy says, can anyone explain why in Babylon 5 humans are still technologically primitive newcomers to the galactic community, despite 102 years having passed since first contact? The interesting thing, so the research I did, and again, this could be wrong, but what I did like kind of about Earth Alliance is that they weren't the most advanced, like you said. They didn't have the best technology. That said, they were great when it came to tactics and mixing and matching elements. Apparently, the other races are very homogenous. They don't know how to do military tactical advances. They don't know how to interact or bring fleets together. And the reason why Earth Alliance did really well was because it was able to take the League of Non-Aligned Worlds and match them up in a way that made it so the Dilgar would lose. Now, here's my question. And again, you know, spoilers and whatnot. If the Dilgar knew their sun was about to explode, and I don't know that we have confirmation that they ultimately did, but if they knew their sun was about to explode, why the hell wouldn't they have said something? Why did they keep it to themselves, even at the highest echelons? Terra of Death, again, being a superstar tonight, really helping me out. Thank you so much. Most likely, like in Halo, the first contact fleet was made up of military exploration vessels, which do exist in our world. Okay, I mean, maybe. Halo is a wonderful universe. It really needs to be broken down, I think. Jason Ulysses says, are you saying it's a bad idea for Earth to have a fleet that saw itself as soldiers first and diplomats a far distant second? Absolutely not, Jason Ulysses. They absolutely need a military that sees themselves as a military. They also need a diplomatic branch that isn't a military. That's my 2 cents. All the warrior casts for war, worker casts for no war, one each of spiritual casts for and against would be my guess, says Eric Windlet. That would make sense. The worker cast really does seem to be very passive and get the bad end of the stick, from what I can tell. So, yeah. The Dilgar were ultimately technologically inferior to Earth too. I heard that Earth vessels had such an advantage over the Dilgar, it was like Minbari's advantage over Earth. Yeah, but here's the problem with that, Super Saiyan Man. If that's true, how the hell was the League of Non-Aligned Worlds losing? The League of Non-Aligned Worlds wasn't exactly, well, to my knowledge, they weren't more primitive than the humans. Though that brings up the next question I have, and I don't care for... Spoilers don't bother me. I have to look at spoilers every day because of what I do. Why didn't the League of Non-Aligned Worlds assist the humans? I mean, did they come to their aid, or are they like, screw that, we know what the Minbari can do, you're on your own? And I mean, if they could, see you, J-Wigs, be safe, man. If they could, if the League of Non-Aligned Worlds didn't help because they didn't want to fight the Minbari, how pissed off was Earth Alliance? Spiritual Cry, or I'm sorry, Raw666 says the Dilgar may have told others, but were denied by the League and had to fight their way out of their territory. Yeah, but I mean that makes the League evil. I mean, evil as all hell. Only one problem with your theory: both the human and Minbari combined aren't even close to being a match for the Shadows. Yeah, but when you take the Minbari and Earth and the alliance they make, and then the ability to draw in other species, then you have a problem, right? Earth, basically, Babylon 5, from what I can tell, is a love letter to Earth. Similar to how Star Trek is, how the Federation is. They are the glue that brings everybody together. So, why didn't the League of Non-Aligned Worlds assist the humans? Yeah, that's what I was saying. They were afraid of the Minbari. They knew they'd be curb-stomped if they attempted. So let's say you're right, Super Saiyan Man. Why didn't they attempt some form of diplomacy? They could have came up and said, hey, this looks like a misunderstanding. Can you please stop? Look what they did. They help us destroy the Dilgar. And again, the other question to it is, you know, how pissed off was the Earth Alliance? How pissed off with the... So the Minbari fight, the Minbari lose, and the Earth Alliance comes out on top as a superpower, ultimately becomes a superpower. How pissed off? I mean, if I was the League, I would be somewhat concerned. Raw666, I thought it was said in the background, stated that the League of Worlds sent a fleet to aid, but it disappeared after Minbari threatened them and fled to save themselves. Again, you would think that they could have tried diplomacy. Yeah, and here's another interesting thing. So, why didn't the humans attempt to send a message in Centauri? Now, a lot of this is from comments I saw on my video. But, so, I guess, ultimately, maybe the humans didn't know, but the Minbari would know. The Minbari knew that the Centauri were aware of and had communication with the humans. So, if the Minbari received the message from the humans and they didn't understand it, why didn't they respond in Centauri? It wasn't the military power of the Alliance that defeated the Shadows. It was the idea of it, as the Shadows were fighting for chaos and not conquest. Sure. Sure, Jamil. That makes sense. But again, the glue, the combining glue to that, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be elements of the Minbari and the humans. Right? So, if you had them destroyed, Earth just killed one of the greatest leaders of Minbar. I doubt the Minbari would care. Well, again, that only shows the flaw in the Minbari. The Tariff League. By the way, I believe it is stated in some books that the Dilgar didn't know that their sun was about to go nova. Okay, well, I mean, there are resources that say both. That the Dilgar weren't aware, that the Dilgar were aware, and just didn't tell anybody. And that the leadership of the Dilgar were aware and didn't tell anybody. It makes no sense. It is completely stupid to me that if you lost a war and they told you to stay on your side in your system, and you know that your sun is about to go supernova, that you're not going to play that, right? That you're not going to let people know. A more interesting background, I don't think this has any real legitimacy, but something that would have been great if it was included is that... oh, yeah, the link is broken. I'm sorry, guys. I need to adjust that. But the more interesting concept, if they had discussed this, was how the Dilgar sun went supernova, but the type of sun it was couldn't have done that. I would love to see how that would have been written into Babylon 5. The Minbari and Earth Alliance... By the way, did I read? Thank you so much again, Terror of Death, just killing it today. The Minbari and Earth Alliance War was at the beginning of the Babylon 5 series. The League wasn't introduced until later in the timeline. This is like a reason they didn't try to aid. I don't think so. No, that couldn't have been. That's not how that worked. The Earth helped the League before the Earth-Minbari War. So the League existed before then. Everyone can tell before a star goes nova, says Terry Weaver. Okay. Raw666, for the Earth Alliance, why do you think Clark was able to gain so much power so quickly for his anti-alien message? I mean, yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I'm surprised it didn't happen a lot quicker, honestly. After everything that happened, definitively. Star Trek tried to do this a little bit in Enterprise, but I don't think they did it really well. After the Xindi attack, there should have been, I mean, even more than what we saw, a massive amount of anti-alien sentiment. You know, they tried to make it, but... Raw666, again, in the background, is stated that the Centauri of the League of Worlds tried, but the Minbari ignored, and everyone was afraid and just abandoned them. Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine, Raw666, if they did it. But, you know, I think that should have come into play. Earth Alliance wins the war. Earth Alliance beats the Minbari. The Minbari do, if I understand correctly, an unconditional surrender. They, and then... they come back, and Earth Alliance is looking at the League that completely backed off. You know, I get why. It makes a ton of sense. In the exact same position, Earth probably wouldn't have helped either. There's no reason in dying if there's nothing you can do, right? There's no honor in fighting a war you're going to lose. So, I get it. But still, people would have just been pissed off. Yeah, I know, Spiritual Cries. It's in quotation, wins. But they still win. And not only that, the ships that they make after that are just, like, powerful, man. Scary. I just found some pictures of a B5 tabletop game. Yeah, there is one. I actually used one of the pictures in it. I don't know the name of it, but I used the pictures of it. I'm sure if you typed in Babylon 5 tabletop, you could find the game. I doubt that'll be a huge issue. But yeah, so I mean, what do you guys think? Anything else to add to that or not really? The League could barely be called a minor power. They were not aligned only in the respect that they weren't a protectorate of one of the major powers. Okay. The Minbari are extremely ritualistic and traditional. Think something along the lines of medieval Japan. Yeah, I mean, people have said that. Also, the Dilgar were practically space Nazis, so not a lot of people cared if they went extinct. Yeah, that's what I get too. One of the problems with Babylon 5, thanks again, Terror of Death, one of my concerns with Babylon 5, I'll be honest, is they do seem to have the issue that Star Trek has. I know people hate when I compare this. But the aliens seem to have hats. And the humans appear to have... to be diverse. And maybe I'm wrong about this, and hopefully. But, yeah, I would say that the Dilgar come off as space Nazis. Earth was just not mad at the League. They were angry with Mars, and they punished Mars. Okay, I don't know anything about that yet. Doesn't seem like much Mars could have done, though. After the war, they have to rebuild their fleets, which is expensive and time-consuming. Earth can't really risk pissing people off. Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but once they rebuilt, obviously they were going for the gut punch, right? I think you got a point. If the Shadows engineered the Earth-Minbari war, knowing the League would not help, it would be why Earth as a whole didn't help them when the Shadows started attacking. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I think many of the species in the galaxy didn't care if any other race ceased to exist, except for how the Minbari felt about the humans, okay? The Minbari started the war because they found out the soul of the people are reborn in human bodies. Yes, Jamie, I am aware of that. I am, in fact, aware of that. I think the League of Worlds depends on Centauri to keep Earth in check, as they were more powerful, and once they left the League of Worlds, just dislove in all but name. But just, I guess you're saying they disbanded, but all in name. I think it's more that certain votes of the worker caste were influenced by the spiritual and warrior castes, i.e. that the worker caste votes were purely symbolic and serves the others. I don't know. You know, the worker caste seems to get the bad end of the stick. I haven't seen enough to know if the worker caste even plays any major roles. It does seem like people just take advantage of them, you know? One thing I'll say is, oh my god, the acting sometimes. I am so used to watching, like, The Expanse or Deep Space Nine or any Star Trek Enterprise, any Star Trek, like, series and whatnot. And I am not used to... Sometimes the acting can be fan fiction bad. I mean, it's good. I like it. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes the acting, even the main actors, have their days where it appears like they were either just phoning it in or they're still new to their craft. Yeah. The League was not obligated to help Earth in any way, shape, or form. They do not have any kind of mutual defense pact. You know, that's fair. So Earth helps out Dilgar. The League says, hey, you know, we don't have a defense pact. Okay, yeah. Micah Leith, Voyager level of bad acting. No, let me say this. Let me take a step back. Season 1, Bashir level of bad acting. Bashir is probably the worst actor when I first saw him. I know in Season 1 they wanted to get rid of Bashir's actor, and I would have been absolutely for that. He should have been gone based on the how well he was acting. That said, Berman pushed for him to stay. I think it was Berman. Pushed for him to stay. Absolutely right. That actor came within his own. He was excellent, and he definitely needed to be kept. But yeah, I mean, some of just Bashir, Season 1 Bashir level of bad acting. Sometimes. And it's just so bad. Oh my god. And yeah. But you know, it's not like every episode, and in fact, it seems based on the scene, at least for me. So like, there'll be one scene in Babylon 5 where I just think, man, this is bad acting, and then after that, it's better. Again, I come back into it. It doesn't take me out. Bashir Season 1 was horrific, but yeah, he was a great actor towards the end. Absolutely loved him. And keeping him was a good idea. He did great episodes. He added so much to Deep Space Nine, and so I would have been wrong to keep him back. Terror of Death says, once you get to mid-season 1, the acting tends to stabilize and get better from there. Generally, Terror of Death, I'll agree with that, but even past the mid-season, and even into other seasons, I'm talking like season 3, season 4, there are some scenes when I'm like, but past season, mid-season, I'd agree with that. And I'm sure that into season 3, season 4, it's generally pretty good. Sinclair was psychologically unstable, and that wore off on the rest of the cast. So the Sinclair's actor? Okay, I didn't know. I had no idea. The bad acting was a mixture of low budget, thus less retakes, and a cast mainly from the US soap operas instead of minor film and stage actors from the outside, the US that we see in Star Trek. Sure, I mean, and you know, I can see that. You can tell that they were pulling it from different. You can tell they were pulling it from different pools, different actor pools. Raw666, $10. Thank you so much again, guys. This is how I keep the lights on. I think another problem for the League is only Centauri, Narn, and Earth had any military after the Delgar War, and thus could not fight for Earth, even if they were not afraid. Well, yeah, and plus the Centauri and Narn didn't get along, so that would have stopped a lot of it. Yeah, I don't know. Spiritual Cry says, just a thought, the entire war was engineered, but not by the Shadows, but the Vorlons, to force the humans and Minbari closer together. Yeah, I could see that. Man, that'd be a very crooked way of doing it, though. That'd be a very horrific way. I'll tell you, this is kind of off topic, but, you know, we're talking about how the Vorlons come off as angels. I don't know if they're supposed to be or not. I've seen that scene where it looks like an angel or whatever, right? So when looking at Andromeda, and I forget what his name was, but there was a person who was a writer. I think he was a writer for Andromeda, or he wasn't the creator, I don't think. He was the writer, and he was writing all of it together. He was putting the stuff together, and he was fired. And you can really tell when he was fired, because everything seemed cohesive. It seemed going in a straight way. They fire him, and then they start going effing nuts with Andromeda. Andromeda just goes off the rails. And he writes an epilogue or a prologue or something like that, where he does what he wanted it to be, what he was writing Andromeda to be. And so this is going to be a spoiler for that, but I liked how he did, and it felt like kind of like what they're doing in Babylon 5. And I could be way off. This is just something after seeing different episodes out of context. But in Andromeda, ultimately, it was supposed to be a war between the light and the darkness, or something like that. And so, what was her name? The pink chick. I forget what her name is, but she dies and comes back to life and whatnot. Basically, it was supposed to be a fight between angels and devils, and she was actually a devil. And the huge fight every time... So what happens is, the Big Bang is when those forces come together, when the light and the darkness fight. And so the devils are actually trying to stop that to keep the galaxies together and whatnot. And that's why she's there. She's trying to work. She's trying to make it so that it doesn't. And it's really well written. If you've watched all of Andromeda, then I would suggest finding the prologue of the writer who was done, because that is the ending that Andromeda deserved. I forget. I know we got there because Vorlons reminded me of angels, but anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to go off the rails there. But yeah, Andromeda reused space clips. Well, I mean, Deep Space Nine reused space clips all the time. Trans, was that her name? Trans, okay. But yeah, I mean, Deep Space Nine reused clips crazy. Once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. They use them a lot. It really kind of takes you out of it. Actil Z says there are a few spots in B5 you can tell the script had to be retooled. Firstly, with having to get rid of Sinclair earlier for his mental illness, and then season 4 where they were told no fifth. Maybe I haven't. Trance was the pink alien on Andromeda. Yeah, Trance, and she. I mean, the way Trance was written, especially the ending, was great. And everything they wanted to do, again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to get off, but on Andromeda, oh man, the ending he had fits so well with how they had put everything together. And I forget the names, guys, I'm sorry, but the guy who was the tech, they were going to build him into a technocracy. And it was making a lot of sense based on watching where he was going with it. Again, it was really well done. I wish they had not fired that guy. Sorbo is what drew me, and it is a shame the show only got weaker, but it's still a decent show for what it is. I think it went off the rails. I forget which season, but one of the seasons where he becomes an angel and walks away or whatever, and that's how they wanted to end it, by killing a lot of the main characters. It's just, Andromeda got really bad for me. I don't think the Vorlons caused the war, but I think they certainly were fine with it because it served their ultimate ends. Strange, I didn't notice it. I mean, reuse some clips is normal. Even the Expanse does, but in Andromeda, it's just odd to me. I don't know if they reused it in Andromeda. I mean, maybe passing clips and stuff like that, but battles, Deep Space Nine was horrific with that. Deep Space Nine reused battles all the time. I mean, I think it was a drinking game for the writers to reuse. And I like Deep Space Nine, don't get me wrong. But yeah, they reused stuff like it was going out of style. Going out of style, good friends. Yeah, what's going on? 68 people watching Raw 666 and only 31 people watching. What the hell is up with that? Strange. Oratakwa Tinga Transgemini was a risen demon guarding the Commonwealth remnants. Sure. I barely remember most of Andromeda. Can't remember how much stock footage was used other than of the ship itself. I don't know either. So you guys have anything else you want to add when it comes to the Earth-Minbari war as an inside job? I know this is off topic, but thoughts on Halo 5 storyline. I don't think I've played Halo 5. I haven't watched Halo 5. I've read almost all the books. The Halo Expanded Universe in the books is just wonderful. If you want good science fiction, good written science fiction, read the early Halo books series. Read the original Halo Reach, for sure. And then everything that guy wrote on Halo, read all of it. It is just so well done. Absolutely love. Actually, what if the Shadows and Vorlons both influenced the war for their own play and it just became a mess due to it? Sort of a prelude to the actual war. Yeah, I could see that. Good morning, Renee Zick. Hope you're doing well. The Vorlons did a lot of genetic experiments on different races. They weren't that nice. Yeah, from what I get, neither side was good. Yeah, Monster 1989, we're going to be bringing it to an end. I apologize. Sincerely, good friends. Sincerely. But yeah, I mean, unless you guys have anything you want to add, we'll be ending it fairly shortly. And you guys can go back to complaining about how, you know, the comm badge was never, ever, ever like this horrific thing of horrificness when it quite frankly and honestly was. It's such a bad piece of technology. It can be abused in so many ways. Minbar was the big boogeyman of Babylon 5. Even the Centauri were like, we're not going anywhere near them. Yeah, but I mean, again, that's one of the reasons they remind me. So the Minbari honestly remind me of the Vulcans in a lot of ways. They're the eldest of the youngest races. Vulcans are pretty ancient and got into technology a lot sooner than most of the other races. They were isolationists. Vulcans, while explorers, had isolationist tendencies as well. They would go to war, though. And I just think there was, I think there's stuff there. So the real question is, should I watch B5? I'm liking it. I think you'd enjoy it, Leith. I want a comm badge. Support the oppressive authoritarian regime. If the Federation are fascists, who are the space commies? The Klingons. I never said that they were fascists. I think that maybe you can make allusions and whatnot, but honestly, it's just such inconsistent writing that I would more call it an authoritarian government, regardless of what the government is or the economic system. Had to be someone looking for a fight to mess up the first contact. Why else would you send a captain with known issues when dealing with aliens and known for his hyper-aggressive attitude? Exactly. Definitely watch season 1. Will be tough, but it is necessary for the overall story arc. B5 is great. Just look past the dated CGI. You say that, but why didn't the Vulcans bail out the Federation during Star Trek Discovery? Throughout the Enterprise, it made it seem like the Vulcans were the equal of the Klingons. Yeah, that's been consistent. So the problem is that the Vulcans were they were the match. If not, they could beat the Klingons. They had the superior technology. And then they joined the Federation and Starfleet, and all of their technology would have been would have been absorbed into Starfleet. Now, if you go the Prelude to Axanar bouts, the Vulcans may have chose not to allow their military equipment to be used by Starfleet, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not logical to me. The only takeaway is that when Starfleet was formed, they were the match of the Klingons, and then the Klingon tech just got better, even though the houses were not aligned, and it's just bad writing. It is. Ross666 is worse when you consider comm badges can be used to record, while internal ship sensors can record your actions. Yeah, see, we know that Bajoran badges can record. It seems logical to me that a Starfleet comm badge could do the same. There's no canon evidence of it, but I don't see why it wouldn't. I have a feeling the Vulcan Science Council didn't give up everything. I mean, it's possible. I could see the original founders when the Vulcans came up and they said, "Hey, we're not going to give you all of our weapons." I could see the Andorians getting pissed off about that, but I think that they would all agree to it because the advantages of having the Vulcans as a part of the Federation was too great. Terror of Death. Man, thank you so much, Terror. It's stuff like this that really helps me out. It really encourages me to do these live streams. I mean, I won't do it anyway, but it really helps me out when you do this. I know this is a little off topic, but if you get a chance, could you please do an episode breakdown of my favorite B5 episode, The Deconstruction of Falling Stars? It tends to realize JMS's dream for B5 and humanity as a whole. What is that? Deconstruction of Falling Stars. Babylon 5 Falling Stars. What is that? Season 4, episode number 22. So can you do this to me? Answer this for me, Terror of Death. Can you send me an email at james@lorereloaded.com tonight asking me to do a breakdown of that? Let me know if you can, because I'm going to rely on you to do it. If you don't, I'll send it to me right now. Talk to you later, Eric. I would like to watch up to that, so it may take me about half a month or more. Once I get there, I'll be happy, especially with the donation, to do a deconstruction of it. I'll be honest, the reason I do lore for a reason. I used to do like reviews and stuff. I feel like it's better for me to do a lore. So yeah. Spiritual Cry. Sorry, Laura, I'm a poor college student. Don't have much money. Dude, if you don't have any, don't take it wrong, guys. I'm going to be here regardless. I enjoy doing these live streams. Please don't take it wrong. I don't want you to give me any money you don't have. If you want to help out, great. If you can't, hey, I'm going to be here. We're all geeks and nerds just having fun. So don't take it wrong. See ya, Eric. See ya, Admiral Savell. Thanks for coming by. But yeah, if you can do that for me, Tara, I will definitely, I'll do a breakdown of the episode for you. I don't mind doing that. Anthony Rojas. I just don't think there's any evidence to indicate that shadow agents doing anything to start a war. I mean, sure, that's possible. I mean, there isn't any alpha canon that I'm aware of. I agree. I'm just saying it's an interesting theory. Matt Hinckley. Are you saying the comm badges, which only Federation personnel have, could do the exact same thing that my cell phone can do? Jason, they can do more than your cell phone can do. They can do more. The deconstruction of falling stars is like the epilogue of Andromeda you talked about, summing everything up because they had just been canceled and didn't know they were getting a season 5. Sure. Wouldn't a solid explanation the UFP is less advanced technologically for Starfleet may have been just a scout in the exploration fleet until conflicts happened with the Klingon? Maybe. Yes, just put your email somewhere. Email me at james@realrelated.com. Oh, here's a funny thing. I had actually found a... apparently, people like to think... And man, I'm going to have to shut that off too, aren't I? People like to, for some reason, equate me with different voices. They think I sound different people. I had someone come up and wonder if I was SF Debris and why I was calling myself James and not Chuck. I don't think I sound anything like SF Debris. Alright guys, with that, I think we are going to be ending it. Thanks so much for coming and for hanging out. I really appreciate it. The Roncinante is obviously better. And I will see you on... Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next Lore Reloaded.